The chains in the forest. The wind was cold that morning. Reed walked through the dark forest with a small bag over his shoulder. He was searching for healing plants near the river. It was quiet. Too quiet. Birds were not singing. Even the leaves didn't move. Reed stopped when he heard something. It was soft, like someone crying. He turned his head. Again. He heard it. A voice. Weak. In pain. He slowly followed the sound, pushing aside thick branches. His boots made no noise on the wet leaves. Then suddenly he saw her. A girl. No, an alien. She was chained to a thick tree with heavy metal bands around her arms. Her skin was silver, her long hair glowing softly like moonlight. Her dress was torn, and her eyes were full of fear. She looked no older than 20 in human years. Reed stood frozen. He had never seen an alien so close. Her lips moved. Help, please. Her voice was dry and soft. Reed stepped closer, looking around. Who did this to you? He whispered. She didn't answer. Her hands were bleeding from trying to pull the chains. Her ankles were bruised. She was weak, hungry, and shaking in the cold. Reed looked at the chains. They were locked with an alien seal, but he carried a tool knife in his belt. He hesitated. Was this a trap? Was she dangerous? But when he looked into her eyes, he saw something that silenced all doubt. Pure fear. He knelt beside her. Hold still, he said. The knife hissed softly as it cut through the alien metal. One lock broke, then another. She gasped. Her hands dropped. She was free. She didn't say thank you. She didn't even speak. She ran. She turned and disappeared, into the woods like a shadow, barefoot and silent. Reed stood alone, staring at the broken chains. What the hell just happened? That night, Reed sat in his small wooden cabin near the edge of the forest. He lit a fire and stared into the flames. His mind couldn't forget those eyes. He had questions. Who chained her? Why? Why didn't she stay? He drank some water and went to bed. The forest outside was silent. But just before sleep took him, he thought he heard something move near his door. The next morning he stepped outside. There, on the wooden steps, lay a small bundle of herbs fresh, exactly the kind Reed had been looking for yesterday. He looked left. He looked right. No one was there. He bent down, picked them up, and saw something else. A tiny silver hair on the step. His heart beat faster. She was here. Later that day, Reed returned to the tree where he found her. The broken chains still hung from the trunk. Scratches on the bark showed she had been there for many days. As he looked around, he noticed something odd. Footprints. Small. Barefoot. Leading away from the tree. And then returning. She had come back. Why? Was she watching him? He felt a chill down his back, but not from fear, from something deeper. A connection. He had saved her life. And maybe now she was trying to speak, in her own way. That night, Reed left a piece of bread and a bottle of water on the porch. He didn't say anything, just placed it, and closed the door. In the morning, it was gone, and in its place, a blue glowing flower that didn't grow anywhere on earth. He picked it up carefully. It was warm to the touch. Reed looked toward the forest and smiled just a little. Who was she? Why was she there? And what did she really want? He didn't know it yet, but this small act of kindness would change everything. The silence. After 3 days had passed since Reed unchained the alien woman, but he had not seen her again, not fully. She moved like the wind. She came and went like a shadow. Each morning, Reed found something left behind. Fresh. Fruits, rare herbs, a smooth stone carved with a symbol he didn't understand. Silent gifts. No name. No voice. Only her presence. The forest had become different now. Alive, watching. Even the animals acted strange. Birds flew lower. Rabbits didn't run when he passed. The trees creaked as if whispering to each other. But Reed said nothing. He didn't want to scare her away. One night rain fell heavy. Thunder rolled across the mountains. Reed stood at his window watching the storm. Then, a flash of movement outside. He rushed to open the door but found only wet grass. On the wooden railing was a feather. It shimmered in silver blue. He picked it up and stared. "This is not from any earth bird," he whispered. Suddenly, a soft voice behind him. "You should not have helped me." Reed spun around. She stood there, soaked, shivering, beautiful, terrified. Her silver skin looked almost pale under the cabin light. Her eyes had dark rings under them and a deep cut ran across her shoulder. Reed moved toward her slowly. "You're hurt." She flinched. "Don't touch me." "I won't," he said gently. "Let me just help." She looked like she wanted to run, but her legs trembled. "They are looking for me," she whispered. "If they find you helped me, they will kill you too." Reed stepped back, hands up. "Then let me hide you." Her eyes widened. "Why would you do that?" Reed didn't know what to say. He had no reason, only a feeling, only a truth in his heart. "Because you're not a threat," he said, "and no one deserves to be treated like an animal." Her eyes filled with water, but no tears fell. She blinked slowly, then stepped inside. "I will only stay till the rain stops," she said. "Then I will go." Reed made her sit by the fire. He didn't ask many questions. He just gave her clean cloth, some soup, and space. She didn't eat fast. Every bite was slow, careful, as if she didn't believe the food was real. "You've been alone a long time," Reed said quietly. She looked at the fire. "Yes." He nodded. "I've been alone too." A small silence. Then she finally spoke. Her name. "Sariel." He smiled. "I'm Reed." She didn't smile back, but her eyes softened. That night, Sariel sat by the fire while Reed slept on the floor, giving her the bed. She stared at the flames, her silver fingers trembling. She touched the small bag she carried. Hidden inside was a strange, glowing object wrapped in cloth. She did not show Reed. Not yet. It was the reason she had been chained, the reason they hunted her, and if Reed found out, he might turn her in like the others. But part of her didn't believe that. Not after he gave her food, warmth, safety. Her heart ached. It was a strange pain. She didn't understand it. By dawn, the rain had stopped. She stood by the door ready to leave. Reed woke up and saw her there. "You sure?" he asked. She nodded. "It's better if I disappear. I bring danger with me." He walked over and gave her a small satchel with dry bread, fruit, and a folded blanket. "Then go," he said softly, "but not because you're afraid of me." She paused, turned, and then, very slowly, she said, "I will return. With something." Reed looked confused. "A gift?" She shook her head. "A truth." And with that she vanished into the misty morning, leaving Reed alone once again. But this time, he wasn't afraid of the silence. He waited, because deep inside he knew. This wasn't the end, it was only the beginning. She returned with a wound. 3 nights passed. The wind stayed quiet. Reed kept the fire burning, waiting, hoping. He didn't know why. He just did. Then, on the 4th night, as the moon hung low and pale, he heard 3 knocks on the door. Not 1, not 2, 3, tap, tap, tap. His heart jumped. Reed opened the door slowly. She stood there, Sariel, but not the same. Her silver skin was pale and blood ran down her arm. Her hair was tangled, her breathing shallow. She swayed on her feet. Reed rushed forward. "You're bleeding." She tried to speak, but her lips trembled. Her knees gave out. He caught her just before she hit the ground. In her hand, she clutched a strange glowing object tightly wrapped in cloth. "Don't let them take it," she whispered. And then she passed out. Reed worked quickly. He cleaned her wound with warm water, wrapped her arm, and covered her in blankets. He checked her pulse, weak but steady. He sat by her side for hours. She didn't wake, but she didn't leave either. The next morning, sunlight poured into the cabin. Sariel stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. Reed smiled gently. "Welcome back." She looked at the ceiling, confused, then sat up fast, panic in her eyes. "The orb. Where is it?" Reed pointed to a wooden box. "Safe. I didn't touch it." She stared at him. "Why not?" Reed shrugged. "Because you didn't want me to." For the first time, she smiled. Just a little. Later, when she could walk again, she sat by the fire, holding the glowing object in her hands. "It's not just an orb," she said softly. "It's a seed." Reed frowned. "A seed? Like, for planting?" She nodded. "But not from Earth. It's a seed of the Lariah tree, a tree that only grows once every 1,000 years on my planet." Reed leaned forward, listening closely. She continued. "This seed can grow a tree that heals, protects, and gives light in darkness. It can even stop war." Reed blinked. "That sounds impossible." Sariel looked into his eyes. "So, is mercy in this galaxy, yet you gave it to me." Reed fell silent. Then she told him everything. Her people had sold the seed to a cruel king in exchange for weapons. She was chosen to deliver it. But when she saw the king's hunger for power, she fled. The king ordered her captured, chained, and they left me here on this world to die, she said, voice shaking. Reed clenched his fists. "You're safe now. No one will chain you again." She looked at him, eyes full of something heavy. "You don't understand. I didn't just bring the seed here." She opened her palm. A piece of metal glowed beneath her skin. "They placed a tracker in me. I ripped it out 2 days ago. That's why I'm bleeding." Reed stared at her. "Then they'll come for you." She nodded. "And for anyone helping me." A long silence. Then Reed stood. "Then we need a plan." That night they sat outside near the trees. Sariel rested her head against a fallen log. The stars above shimmered in silence. She looked at Reed. "Why did you save me?" Reed thought for a while. Then he said, "Because no one saved my sister when she needed help. I couldn't reach her in time. I still remember her face." Sariel didn't say anything, but she moved a little closer to him, just enough for him to know she understood. Before dawn, Sariel placed the seed in Reed's hand. "If I die," she said softly, "you plant this. Promise me." Reed closed his fingers around it. "I promise." And in that moment, the bond between them was no longer just survival. It was something deeper. The hunters come, the morning came with silence. Too much silence. Even the birds had stopped singing. Reed stepped out of the cabin, carrying a mug of tea. The forest was still, almost like it was holding its breath. He narrowed his eyes. Something felt wrong. Behind him, Sariel was sitting near the fire inside, wrapping her arm again. The wound was healing slowly. Her strength had returned, but her face remained alert. Watching, listening. She froze suddenly. "They're here," she whispered. Reed turned. "What?" She stood up. "I can feel them. I don't know how, but I feel them close." That's when they heard the ship. A deep, humming vibration rolled through the air. Leaves shook. The sky above the trees turned dark as a low-flying alien craft moved over the forest canopy, circling like a bird of prey. Reed's heart pounded. "We need to go. Now." But it was too late. A sharp hiss cut through the air. 3 tall figures in dark armor materialized at the edge of the clearing. Hunters. Their armor was black with glowing red eyes. They didn't walk. They marched. One of them raised a scanner. Life form detected. Coordinates confirmed. Another stepped forward. Hand over the traitor and the stolen seed. Reed stepped, in front of Sariel. She's not a traitor. The lead hunter tilted his head. You are protecting a criminal of the crown. This act makes you an enemy of the Empire. Sariel whispered, Don't fight them. You'll die. Reed didn't move. Then I'll die standing. Suddenly the hunter lifted a shock rifle and pointed it at Reed. But before he could fire, Sariel raised her hand. The orb in her bag began to glow through the fabric. The seed responded to her fear. Roots of light started crawling along the ground. The hunter hissed. She activated it. The ground shook. Vines burst from the dirt, wrapping around the legs of one hunter and pulling him down. The other 2 jumped back and fired at the vines, but they were already retreating, disappearing into the forest like snakes. Reed grabbed Sariel's hand. Run! They sprinted through the woods, breath ragged, dodging trees and rocks. Branches whipped. Reed's face. Behind them, he heard the hunters crashing through the forest, shouting commands. Don't let her escape. Sariel gasped. We must reach the old tree, the place where you found me. They ran toward it. The air around them felt heavy, buzzing with energy. As they neared the tree, Reed stopped. Why here? Sariel didn't answer. She pulled the seed from her bag and pressed it against the tree's bark. Nothing happened. Then she whispered something in her alien language, soft, trembling, almost like a prayer. The tree responded. The bark split open with a loud crack, and a pulse of light exploded outward, blinding the hunters who had just arrived behind them. Roots shot out from the ground, wrapping around the hunters, lifting them into the air. One screamed. One cursed. One dropped his weapon and tried to flee, but the forest had awakened. The forest remembered kindness. It remembered the man who freed her. It chose to protect both of them. Reed stood still, watching the tree glow with ancient power. His cabin was far behind now. His old life gone. But for the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. Sariel turned to him. The seed. It's only half grown. That was just its first defense. But now the Empire knows we're serious. Reed nodded. So what happens next? She looked toward the sky. They'll send more. Reed tightened the grip on the dropped alien rifle. Then we fight. She looked at him, not with fear, but with something deeper. Trust. That night, they sat at the base of the glowing tree. Sariel placed the seed back inside a hollow of the bark, where it pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Reed looked at the stars above. This all started because I cut a chain, she smiled. And I've been free ever since. The gift revealed. The glowing tree pulsed softly behind them, like a silent guardian in the dark. Reed sat on a flat stone, the alien rifle resting beside him. His face was tired, eyes red, but alert. Across from him, Sariel knelt on the ground, silent, staring at the roots. Neither had spoken for hours. Finally, she broke the silence. You think the seed is just a gift, a rare tree, something to protect life. Reed looked up. It's more than that. She nodded slowly. It's not just a seed. It's a key. Reed frowned. A key to what? Sariel reached into her pack and pulled out a crystal shard, shaped like a teardrop. It glowed with the same light as the seed. She placed it gently between them. This, she said softly, is memory. My people call it a soul crystal. It holds the last memory of a dying world. Reed's chest tightened. Your world? She nodded. We were once a peaceful race. We built gardens, not weapons. But when other empires rose, they feared our trees, because they healed too much. They ended suffering, they broke systems of control. So they destroyed our forests. burned them, one by one. Her voice cracked. I am the last daughter of the Lariah Grove. Reed felt the weight of her words. This seed, she continued, is not just a plant. It carries the last living code of my people's hope. If planted fully, it can grow a tree that does more than heal. It can remember. Remember what? She touched the crystal shard. Everything. Our voices, our knowledge, even our dreams. A living library. Reed leaned back, stunned. Why give it to me? She looked at him for a long time. Because you did not ask for anything in return. Reed didn't speak. He stared at the seed resting near the glowing tree trunk. Now he understood why the Empire wanted it so badly. It wasn't just a rare item. It was history, power, truth, and it now lived in his care. Suddenly, Zariel stood and walked toward the ancient tree. She pressed the soul crystal against the bark. The tree glowed brighter, roots shifting under the soil. A soft hum filled the air, like a whisper of thousands of voices. Reed stepped closer. What's happening? She turned, eyes shining with silver light. I'm giving it permission. I'm letting it wake. The ground trembled gently. Glowing flowers bloomed instantly at the base of the tree. The crystal melted into the trunk, and the bark grew smooth and warm. Then something unexpected happened. A glowing image formed in the air between them, a holographic vision made from light and memory. It showed Sariel as a child, playing under massive glowing trees. Her people sang songs. Laughter echoed, and then fire, ships, smoke, chains. Reed clenched his fists. Sariel lowered her head. This is the gift, she whispered. The truth no one wanted to remember. The hologram faded. Sariel turned to Reed. The Empire fears this more than any weapon. Because it shows who they really are, Reed said quietly. She nodded. They call me a fugitive, a criminal, but I only stole back what was ours. Reed stepped forward. Then let's protect it, and share it, somehow. Sariel looked surprised. You'd risk your life for my memory? No, he said. I'd risk it for your future. That night, as stars burned above them, Reed built a stronger shelter beside the tree using wood, stones, and metal scraps from the crashed scout ship. Sariel watched him work, her eyes unreadable. You're not like other humans, she said. I'm not sure I'm even like other. Me, he replied. They both laughed softly. It was the first time they laughed together. Before sleep, Sariel placed her hand over Reed's. There is one more part of the gift, she said softly. Reed looked at her. She leaned closer and whispered, The tree grows stronger when two souls protect it as one. He blinked. What do you mean? She didn't answer with words. She pressed her forehead gently to his. And in that quiet moment, Reed felt warmth rush through his body. Not magic, not power, but connection. A silent vow. The last stand in the forest. The wind howled through, the trees colder than before. The ancient tree behind them glowed softly like a heartbeat in the dark, but its light flickered, as if warning them. Reed sharpened a piece of metal into a spear. He looked up at Sariel, who stood at the forest edge, her silver eyes narrowed. She didn't blink. They're coming again, she said. Reed nodded. I know. Above the clouds, a strange rumble began. Not thunder, not wind. Something mechanical, angry, fast. Suddenly the sky split with a beam of red light. An alien assault ship broke through the clouds, flames trailing from its engines. It was bigger than the last, heavily armed. This wasn't a scouting mission anymore. This was war. Reed and Sariel stood side by side. No one spoke, but both knew. This was the last stand. The ship landed hard in a clearing, shaking the earth. 6 elite hunters stepped out, bigger, faster, armed with plasma rifles. Their armor hissed with energy, and this time they weren't here to ask for the seed. They were here to take it. One of them, taller than the others, stepped forward. You have 10 seconds to hand over the tree, or burn with it. Reed didn't move. This tree is no longer just hers. It's ours. The hunter's helmet retracted, revealing a cold face covered in alien war paint. Then you die with the thief. Sariel stepped beside Reed. No. We live with the truth. Then the battle began. The hunters opened fire, red beams lighting the trees. Reed and Sariel dove behind a thick root wall that had grown up overnight. The tree was protecting them again. Sariel held out her hand. Trust me. Reed reached for her, and suddenly the roots under their feet rose and launched them into the upper branches out of sight. From above, they watched the hunters split up, trying to track them. The forest was alive now. Awake. Branches twisted, paths changed. One hunter stepped on what looked like solid ground, then vanished into a pit of glowing vines that wrapped him up and dragged him down. Another fired blindly, only to be struck in the back by a falling log that moved on its own. This forest, it listens to you, Reed said breathlessly. Sariel shook her head. It listens to you too now. But not all hunters fell so easily. Two reached the base of the ancient tree. One aimed a plasma bomb at the trunk. If we can't take it, we destroy it! Reed's eyes widened. No! He jumped from the tree branch, landing hard behind the hunter, using the metal spear to knock the weapon away. The hunter turned and struck him with a shock blade. Reed fell, gritting his teeth as pain lit through his side. Sariel screamed and ran toward him, her hands glowing with the seed's energy. She pressed her palm into the soil, and the tree roared. Yes, it roared. Like a living beast. Vines exploded from the roots, faster than lightning. They struck the two hunters like whips, sending them flying into the air before slamming them against thick tree trunks. The last hunter raised his rifle, aimed at Sariel, and that's when Reed threw himself between them. A shot rang out. Pain tore through Reed's chest. He fell to the ground. Sariel screamed louder than before, so loud the forest trembled. She dropped beside Reed. No, no, no. Blood stained his shirt. His breathing was slow. You okay? He whispered with a smile. Don't speak, she said, tears running down her face. You saved me again. Even now. The seed, still glowing in the tree, pulsed brighter. As if it felt his pain too, then something happened. The roots moved gently, wrapping around Reed's body, not to trap him but to heal him. They lifted him softly, placing him near the base of the tree. A soft green glow flowed into his chest. His wounds began to close. Sariel watched in awe. The tree, it accepts you. Reed opened his eyes slowly. Guess? I'm part plant now. She laughed through her tears. The last hunter tried to rise, but the tree no longer needed roots. It summoned light. Blinding white energy shot from its trunk, striking the hunter and reducing him to dust. The battle was over. Reed and Sariel sat beneath the tree as dawn rose. The forest was quiet again, not silent in fear, but peaceful. She leaned her head on his shoulder. We didn't just protect the tree, she whispered. Reed nodded. We became its family, a new beginning. The forest no longer feared footsteps. The air was calm, the leaves soft in the breeze. Birds had returned, singing quiet morning songs as sunlight filtered through the trees. The war was over, but something new had begun. Reed sat on a wooden bench near the ancient glowing tree. His shirt was open near the chest, where the scar had once been. Now only soft green lines remained. The tree had healed him, but left a mark. A reminder. Sariel walked barefoot across the moss, carrying a bowl of fruit. Her silver skin shimmered, no longer dull with pain or fear. Her eyes were peaceful. She sat beside him. No more hunters, she said. No more chains, Reed added. She smiled. We are free. They ate in silence for a moment. The tree behind them stood taller now, stronger. Its bark had grown smooth and golden. Its branches stretched high, blooming with silver leaves and glowing flowers. The seed had taken root completely, and something had changed inside the forest. Animals came closer. The plants grew faster. The ground felt alive. Later that day, Sariel led Reed to a clearing where a ring of trees had begun to form. "This wasn't here before," Reed said. She nodded. "It's the forest's way of growing outwards. The tree is calling others, making a sanctuary." Reed looked around. "It's like a new world is being born." She turned to him slowly. "Would you help me build it?" Reed blinked. "You want me to stay? Forever?" She reached for his hand. "I don't want to just survive, Reed. I want to live with you." His throat tightened. "You mean?" She smiled. "Yes, if you'll have me." That evening, they placed 2 small stones at the base of the tree, symbols in her culture for new bonds. 1 stone for each soul. Together they meant unity without chains. The tree glowed softly in approval. And that night, for the first time since her capture, Sariel slept without fear. Weeks passed. More life arrived. A wounded bird, a mother deer with a limping leg, even a lost human child who had wandered too far from his settlement. Each time the forest welcomed them, healed them, protected them. Word began to spread across the outer colonies. People spoke of a place deep in the wild where pain could vanish, where a glowing tree guarded by a strange couple offered peace to all who came without harm in their hearts. The Empire tried to deny it, but whispers grew. Legends began. One day, Sariel stood at the river's edge with her feet in the water. Reed came and stood beside her. "I still remember the day you cut those chains," she said softly. Reed looked at her. "And I remember the day you brought me the gift." They both smiled. But Sariel's smile faded slightly. "There's something else," she said. "I've been listening to the tree's dreams." Reed raised an eyebrow. "Trees have dreams now?" "This one does," she said. "And it wants to grow far beyond this forest. It wants to spread to the stars again." Reed thought for a long moment. "Then we build ships," he said. She turned to him in shock. "You'd leave Earth to follow a tree?" "I'd follow you, Sariel, wherever you go." The last scene was simple. 2 figures standing beneath a tree of light. A forest that once held fear, now full of life. And a bond that was born from mercy, grown through danger, and sealed by hope. A human and an alien, no longer strangers, just 2 souls, building a new world together.